I think that was Dwight that raised his hand first.
I didn't even hear Dwight's voice. Dwight, are you there?
I am.
So, Dwight, I know that this is probably very challenging for you.
Absolutely. It is.
Dr. Phillips, Dwight and I and Dr. Phillips, we were, and some of the other platinums were some of the very first founding platinum speakers. And we lovingly knew Dr. Phillips, and we became very fond of his stories about the eagle. And he had so many messages to share with us, and he was just a jewel. So
he absolutely was. And Anita, the reason why I said Dwight raised his hand first, I know that this is difficult for all of us, but Dwight really had insight into the man Dr. Charles Phillips was, is, and he's living on in a different form now. But the way that he was able to see him develop his career, to work with him, and to call him friend, it's not often that we hear men honor other men in their greatness and in their power. So, my brother, if you are ready to share that, I think your words and your honoring of the spirit of Dr. Charles Phillips is a great way for us to start tonight's conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And it's such a blessing and a privilege to be on the call tonight and to be a part of this conversation around our brothers and some other things that we're going to be talking about tonight. I knew both of them, T. Wayne Gatewood. Didn't know him as well as I knew Dr. Phillips, but of course, all the engagement I had with T. Wayne was always of very positive nature. And I think when you look at both of these individuals, we know them as men that recognize their purpose on the planet and were about doing some things to accomplish that purpose in terms of living full and dying empty. But as Anita said, Dr. Phillips and I go way back, probably over 10 years in terms of our connection with Les Brown. And we came together at one of the workshops, and one of the things that we both had in common is that both of us had kind of been a part of the Christian community for a number of years before showing up and being mentored by Les Brown. And the thing that we would kind of come there for, and we would kind of look at each other and say, what are we doing here? But the blessing is that he had a desire to go beyond the walls of the church, and so did I, with whatever message and whatever purpose that we had to accomplish. And so that was an immediate connector for both of us. So we came to many, many workshops. We spent hours upon hours being mentored and even appearing on the stage with Les Brown. And I had a lot of intimate and close moments with Dr. Phillips, because when we go to trainings, we'd always make sure we'd eat 2 or 3 times together and sit in fellowship and talk. And Dr. Phillips was a caring person. He was kind of introverted in a sense, but when you got up close and personal with him, he would share a lot of things with you. And I just remember us going to Orlando, and Anita, you remember those workshops out there, and we'd end a full day of training, and I just can see us walking down, headed, looking for some restaurant to go to, and just walking along, talking, enjoying each other's presence. And I think those are the kinds of moments that are frozen in my mind that really caused me to esteem Dr. Phillips very highly. And in the interest of time, I'll simply say Dr. Phillips had a way of, at the end of a talk, I mean, he was instant in, season and out. When you call on him, he'd jump up and bam, there he goes. And he would always end his speeches, or primarily all of his speeches, he would end them with the reality that we're faced with today about his life. He would always look to us at the end, and when he was getting ready to sit down, he would say, "My time is up, and I thank you for yours." And when I think about that, that really touches me to a deep degree, because basically he was prophetically saying something that would one day be absolutely and positively true. His season down here on this planet is up. But he looks back on that season and thanks us for the time that we shared with him while he was on this journey. Thank you.
Powerful, powerful, powerful words, my sister. Oh, I tell you, T. Wayne, I remember when T. Wayne first came on the scene. For those of you that are listening to the call, T. Wayne Gatewood was known as the builder. He had a strong passion and desire to really help young people. And he did it by using building products. He would help them build. And he was so passionate about everything that he did. So as Stacy said, he was always asking questions. He was always engaged. He would call all of the platinum speakers, and he would call and find out information. And if he needed to do something, or if you needed him to help you, he was willing to do it. And, you know, I can say about both of them, Dr. Phillips and T. Wayne. I recall, for those of you listening on the call, the platinum speakers, we have another call after for just the platinum speakers. And you all, Dr. Stacy and Dwight and Dr. Rubin, you may remember when they would be on the phone, you could hear their voices were a little weak, but they never complained. I never heard them complain. They continued on the journey because they were still present, even in whatever was going on inside their body, because they knew that God had put them here for a purpose. And Dr. Phillips was so close. He was very close to Dr. Miles Monroe. And I remember when we would be out, and he would be right there by Dr. Miles Monroe, and he was just always even at the level that he was always learning and open. And the same thing about T. Wayne. For those of you that are listening on the phone, you never arrive. You never arrive. It is a constantly learning, growing. So I asked you at the beginning, are you looking at the urgency of the call on your life? What's stopping you? Are you doing what you were called to do? Because all of us, our number is going to be up one day. One day. Powerful words, Dr. Stacy. Dr. Rubin.
Yes, I'm here. I am listening to everything everyone is saying, and I got to tell you, I'm further inspired. You know, I did a Live Your Best Life event last year out of Laurel, Maryland, and T. Wayne was on my event. He was one of the speakers. He was eager to participate and eager to help. As a matter of fact, I just did a youth summit over in Flint, Michigan, and I told T. Wayne about it. And what we were planning to do was next year when I went back, he was going to be a part of that. And he, like you said, they called him the builder because he would bring his trailer, all the tools, everything they needed, and he would help the children learn that they could construct things and do things with their hands and give them skills that they never thought they could have. They had. And so as I hear you guys talk, I'm inspired because I realize that this work is not done, and we only have so much time. As a matter of fact, I got to tell you, my daughter just got a job as a lifeguard, and this is really impressive to me because she always wanted to swim. And so we got her in swimming lessons. She swims for her high school now, and then she went out and got a job doing what she loved. And so I called her just yesterday, and I just wanted to talk to her, and I said, "Hon, are you leaving the swimming pool?" She said, "Yes." I said, "How is work?" And you know what she said? What I'm doing is great, but it's hard for me to call it work, Dad.
Wow.
Because I'm doing something that I love. And see, what I know about T. Wayne, what I know about Dr. Phillips is they were doing something that they loved. That's how they showed up on the call with weak voices. That's how they kept going back again and again. That's how they stayed focused on the mission, is because they were doing something that they loved. But let me tell you what else my daughter told me. She said, "You know what really shocked me, Dad?" I said, "What's that?" She said, "There's so many people that come to the swimming pool that want swimming lessons. They want to swim, but they won't get in the water. That they'll just sit on the side and put their feet in there, but they won't jump in." And I'm trying to talk to them. I'm trying to explain to them that we're here to help you. We're going to help you. We have life support. We have float devices, all these things. But there's a few people, even though they know they want to do it, they won't even jump in the water. And the reason I'm saying that right now is because I know Mr. Brown. He gets calls from all kinds of people, from all over the world. And he's not the only one. They say things like, "I want to speak, and I want to coach, and I want to be a trainer, and I want to be a mentor, and I want to help uplift other people, and I want to use my gifts." And so he offers his hands to help. Stacey NC Grant has Destiny Designers University. Dwight has his speaking platform that he trains people to help them develop their story. Anita Hicks is a coach. All of these people, and they get these calls. We all do. We get these calls from people who want to take their life to the next level. They want to develop their gift. They want to get in the water. They want to swim, but we can't get them to jump in.
Wow.
And so all I'm telling you is he is absolutely right that our time is limited. It's limited. You got to get that. It's limited. Oprah said that there's no greater gift you can give or receive than to honor your calling. It is why you were born, and it is how you become most truly alive. And all I'm saying is if you're on this call right now, let this be your wake-up call. Write this one down. I want you to write this down. It's okay to die in action, but it's not okay to die of inaction. Did you get that? It's okay to die in action. We just don't want you to die of inaction. And there's so many people who talk about wanting to participate in the things that we're doing. They want to write the book. They want to sing. They want to speak. They want to start a business. They want to start an after-school program. They want to do all of these things, and so many of them, they never do it. And so all I'm saying tonight is when you understand that we have just said goodbye to the physical part of two of our platinum speakers, but their legacy lives on. See, how they honored their calling, how they become most truly alive, is they jumped in the water. They swam. And how are you going to do it? Just don't sit on the edge of the pool with your feet in the water. You know if it's something that you want to do. Don't let money be the reason why you don't honor your calling. Don't let time be the reason why you don't honor your calling. Don't let self-doubt be the reason that you don't honor your calling. There's people that can help you. You were born for a reason and for a purpose. And all you have to do is honor that purpose by activating your calling. I got to give honor to T. Wayne. I got to give honor to Dr. Phillips. They activated their calling. They lived out their legacy. And I just want the people on the call to be committed to doing the exact same thing. Thank you.
Great.
Absolutely. You know, we know not the time and hour. One of the reasons why when I got the message from Valerie Parker, who was the one who started introduced all of the platinum speakers to Les Brown, I was just coming from Atlanta, Georgia for a homegoing of a young, beautiful spirit, 36 years young. But let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret lived her life on purpose. She lived her life for purpose. She got into the water, Dr. Rubin. She didn't have a problem getting into the water. She lived her life so full. She died in action. As a matter of fact, when she was on her way to help, she was helping another gentleman that was in a wheelchair, and they were bringing awareness to people who needed help with wheelchairs. So the accident happened, and they were gone within a twinkling of an eye. They were gone. But she had lived her life, and when they honored her and had the homegoing celebration, and I do say celebration, of her life, to see the pictures, to see the memories. Dwight talked about memories frozen in time. I have so many wonderful memories frozen in time of my beautiful friend Margaret and of Dr. Phillips and T. Wayne. I have so many wonderful memories because they chose to live their life, live a life of purpose. So for those of you that are on the call, none of us are perfect. None of us can have it all figured out. But we do know that if God is with you, no man can be against you. So we're here to simply encourage you on this call tonight to get up off the sidelines. No more excuses. It's time out. Some of you are on the call every Monday night, and we do appreciate you. But don't let time, as Dr. Rubin said, be your reason for not doing your work. Don't let money be your reason for not doing your work.
Yes, all right. You know, Anita, one of the things that came to mind as Dr. Rubin was talking was that we often talk about the two most important days in a person's life as being the day that they were born and the day that they find out their purpose or why they're here on this planet. And as we think about those that are on this call tonight, there are many of you that have a good clue as to what your purpose is. And some of you are kind of moving in the direction of your purpose and you're working on some things. But I dare say that if either of our brothers could come back today and talk to us and let us know something, I think they would probably both admit that there's probably some more that they wanted to do. There's probably some more that they could have done as they look back. And here's what I would say to those of you on the call tonight, those of you that it's pretty clear what your purpose is. And once it becomes clear, and for those that don't know their purpose, search for your purpose like the pearl of great price, because it is a pearl of great price. It is priceless, literally. And once you have found and determined what your purpose is, we need to be like Mother Teresa, who once it was clear what God wanted her to do, she had a sense, she had a saying where it was obedience without delay. In other words, I know what I'm supposed to do. There's nothing but air and opportunity stopping me from doing it. With a wave of the hand, there goes the air, and now it's all about the opportunity. And you move forward with a single eye in the direction of fulfilling the purpose for which you were put on this planet. And then the other piece is this, is that we need to move out with a sense of urgency. Now, that's really a strong term as I think of it in my own mind. It's a sense of urgency, like I've got to get this done. Like if this doesn't get done, the world will not be a better place. In other words, we have to have this understanding that there's some things that you are called to do. Nobody else has the skill set, the gifting to do it but you. And it was given for you to do, and it's your responsibility to now take and move out with purpose. Now, the last thing in terms of a mindset that we need to have in terms of our purpose is that we need to go after our purpose with all deliberate speed. Now, that's an intentional thing right up in there. With all deliberate speed. In other words, you know what you have to do. You're going after it with everything in you, really spadazo to bust the gut on the inside, doing what it is you're supposed to do. And you do that with all deliberate speed. In other words, do it until it's done. Do it until you can stick a fork in it and say, this I have accomplished. This was the purpose for which I'm on this planet, and I have done the work. And when we've done that, that's when we hear the accolade on the other side of this, when we talk about this transition, looking back and saying, well done, thy good and faithful servant.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I love that. I love what everyone has said as we share, as the words go up. It's like a sweet savor in honoring the life and the action that was taken. This is what we do. This is why we do what we do, why we connect with these wonderful voices on the line each and every week, because we understand the urgency of now. But let me insert one other comment, that on this journey, nothing is ever going to be as smooth as we would like it. There are going to be some bumps in the road, and failure is okay. We can fail our way to success. You know, Dr. Phillips and C. Wayne J. Wood, it wasn't a smooth path, but they didn't let the bumps in the road get to them. I was talking to a group earlier that I do a series with about J.K. Rowling, who did the whole Harry Potter series, and how many times she had to go back and send out her manuscript because people didn't think it was worth anything, that this is not really going to go anywhere. And she said something in a keynote that she gave, that it's not about not failing. And if we really want to live a life of authenticity, it's about understanding that those failures would happen. And if we live our life so cautiously that we do not fail, then by default, we've already failed. So it's not about getting it perfect every time. It's about coming back again and again and again. So it's not sizing up the way you thought it would. The business plan didn't lay out the way you thought it would. The finances didn't come in the way you wished it would. But you don't stop. You keep coming back again and again and again. You keep coming on this call every single Monday night. You keep listening for that divine that connects within you, the truth of what the words we are saying to your spirit, that you know deep inside of you that you are called for a greater thing. that no matter what the obstacles, no matter what comes, no matter what inconvenience stands in potentially your way, as Dwight just said, air an opportunity. Move it aside and keep moving. Come back. Give it your all. Put every effort you have into making your dream a reality, into building that legacy that you're going to leave. This weekend was a weekend where I had an opportunity to celebrate my son's graduation from high school, major accomplishment. And I'm extremely, extremely proud. And I had a real honest conversation with my son. I said, son, I'm so proud of you. You did it. But I want you to promise me one thing, that as you move on to college, that you're honest with yourself. Because while you did good, did you really give it your all? Did you apply everything that you could have to go to that next level? And he looked at me and he said, Ma, I know I could have probably done a little bit more. And there were moments where I wasn't as confident in myself. But, Mommy, I'm telling you, when I hit my college campus, it's a new day, because I now know that I can't waste time. I now know that I have the ability. I now know that everything you and Dad have been telling me all these years, now I understand what you're saying, and I don't have time to waste. Oh, my goodness, what a gift. A gift to hear a child tap into the urgency of now. Tap into life is a precious gift. Tap into the fact that no matter the challenges he faced, making good choices and good decisions, no matter the challenges with staying focused and disciplined, it is worth every lesson he learned, because now he can see clearly towards the vision of tomorrow. So as you listen to us tonight, as we raise up and give praise to the lives of two soldiers in the work of professional and personal development, of using voices of hope with Les Brown to transform lives, help other people see a bigger vision for themselves, you can see clearly your path with urgency, with conviction, and with the determination that no matter what comes in your way, no matter what challenges, just like J.K. Rowling went from homeless to home free. She went from shopping around a manuscript to now having a series and more work than she could have ever imagined, because she didn't stop. What if she had stopped when the first person denied her? What if she had stopped when the second person denied? What if she had stopped when people laughed and said, do you really think a book about Hogwarts is going to go anywhere? Do you think that anybody's going to pick up and read this? This is crazy. You're living in a fantasy. You need to go get a real job. You need to go do something productive with your life. Thank goodness she tuned out the voices of the negative, and she listened to the authentic voice inside of her that gave her the only validation that she needed, that she was already given what she needed to leave her legacy. So as you listen to us tonight, define for yourself what your legacy will be and how you're going to move with volume and velocity, with the urgency of now, to step into the vision that only you can execute.
That's excellent. That's excellent. I would like to say one more thing as the people are listening to this call. It was interesting for me being on this call, because I remember when I first reached out to Les Brown, and I told him I wanted to speak, and he said that he was going to be in New York. He said, I'm going to be in New York, you come up here. And I flew up to New York, and I remember seeing Les there, and Dr. Julie, and Vince Torrent, and Stacey N.T. Grant, and I saw those individuals speaking. I was sitting in the chair, and I was just amazed. I was blown away. I said, one day I want to be able to speak like that. One day I'd like to share the stage with any one of those individuals. Pick one. I would like to be there one day. And then when we talked, Les came by and I said something, and he said, Ruben, I just listened to you speak. I said, yes, sir. He said, you and I are going to share the stage one day. And I said, oh, yes, thanks. And I started laughing. Now, let me tell you why I started laughing. It's probably the same reason you don't think, when you see other people doing what you want to do, that you don't think it's possible for you. You know why? Because I was really looking at them, and I really wasn't looking at what was inside of me. And it reminds me like this: if you think about being on the highway, driving your car, and you see somebody pass you and they whiz by you, and you're like, wow, they're really going fast. Yes, they are going fast, but here's the key. They're just pushing on the gas. If you look at your speedometer, your car can do it too. It's not doing it because you're not pushing the gas. What I got when Les said that to me, and I went back home and I thought about it, wait a minute, nothing is stopping me from being up there. Nothing is stopping me from having the opportunity to speak with Les Brown. Nothing is stopping me from being on the stage with any one of those individuals. Except the way I was thinking about myself. And I just want you to make sure that whatever it is that you were called to do, and you see other people doing it, you see them operating in that space, you see them taking action, you can do it too. That your car has a speedometer. Just because you drive 70 doesn't mean that's as fast as it can go. You just have to push on the gas. But your life can take off just like their life took off. But you know what they did? They pushed the gas. You know what I thought? That if I'm going to ever be on that stage, if I'm going to ever get the chance to speak with Les Brown, I have to step out and believe a little something. I have to have faith. Dr. King said faith was what? You heard it. Taking the first step when you can't see the whole staircase. St. Augustine said faith was believing in what you do not see, and the result of that faith would be seeing what you believe. I heard that faith was finding answers in the heart beyond the reach of proof. In my heart, I felt like I could speak. But I couldn't prove it right then, but I felt it was in my heart. And my question for you is, what is in your heart? See, there's something that you were called to do. It was planted in you like a seed. It's in your heart. And when you think about the seed, the seed really has three factors. Number one, it can only produce after its own kind. A watermelon seed can only produce watermelon. And so if you want to grow something in your life, you have to plant that seed. The second thing is that it needs the right environment to grow. The seed has a casing, and in order to open that casing, it'll open up for you if you put it in the right environment. When Les talked about a community of achievement-driven, collaborative, supportive relationships, that's what this call is about. You're in the community right now. And then the other thing was, with the seed, and this is the important thing, is that there's things that take place as far as this growth and development that you don't even see first off. That a lot of the growth happens below the surface until you see it. And a lot of people give up because they don't understand that the first growth you get is below the surface. You don't see the results of it yet. And so they try it for a little while, and even though they're developing themselves, even though they're improving, even though they're developing and growing, they quit. They dig up the seed. But you just have to believe. That's where that faith comes in. You have to believe that sooner or later it's going to break through. Sooner or later it's going to shine through. Sooner or later it's going to show itself. And all I'm telling you today is that Dr. Philip, T. Wayne, the builder, they just started as a seed. They had an idea one day that they were going to impact the world. And they teamed up with Les. And as you hear from the people on this call, they did it. They impacted the people. They impacted the world. And you have the opportunity and the responsibility to do that too. If you haven't started what you know you're called to do, let today, let this call, let these voices be the things that make you plant the seed. We need to hear from you.
Yes, powerful, powerful words. So for all of you listening tonight, we want you to go beyond the walls of your comfort zone. It's okay to die in action, but it's not okay to die unaction. Tap into the urgency of your now. Activate your calling. Be about the business of what you are called to do. And finally, search for your purpose like a pearl of great price. Mm-hmm. We thank you, Dr. Phillips, Dr. Charles Phillips, and T. Wayne Gatewood for your light and for your life and for all that you've done. Your time is up, but you lived a life of purpose on purpose. And we honor you this night. So for those, for Dr. Stacy, Dr. Rubin, Dwight, do you want to open up the call, or it's up to you. Do we feel we need to open up the call, or do we need to just end here?
Well, let me end with just a short insight about Dr. Phillips before we hang up, before we end it. One of the things that I think is relevant to this call, because all of us are on this call because of our mutual connection with Les Brown, Dr. Phillips, and T. Wayne had that same connection. One of the things that I really admired about Dr. Phillips is that he recognized that he and I and the other platinum speakers, he really recognized the gift that God had placed in the man Les Brown in terms of his ability to impart and to cultivate human potential. And he always had respect for Les Brown, even though he may have been, experienced some things and been some places. He really had respect for him. And then I found out from Dr. Devra Daughtry on last night something that is probably little known, is that when Dr. Miles Monroe began his work and they started the organization from the very beginning, before anybody was great and well known, I found out that Dr. Phillips was one of the 5 individuals that were a part of that birthing of something that literally went global and impacted millions of people. And so when we talk about having that kind of legacy, having that kind of beginning and connection, that adds even more credibility to the fact of Dr. Phillips and the importance and the work that he was a part of for many, many, many years. And the other piece is that, Dr. Phillips would always talk about being born poor. And he said, well, we were so poor that poor people called us poor. And but he didn't. He was born poor, but he didn't die poor. Yeah. And I think that's really the part of the message that we can get across to those that are on this call tonight. It's not your fault, as this guy named E.J. Pardo said, it's not your fault if you were born poor, but it is your fault if you die poor. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about significance. And I think that's one of the things that I admire Dr. Phillips for. He may have been born poor, but as we sit on this call tonight, we can all agree the man died very, very wealthy.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Thank you so much, Dwight. Thank you so much, Dr. Stacy, Dr. Rubin, for sharing with us tonight. Callers, we want you to connect with us on Les Brown Platinum Speakers Network. You can go to lesbrownplatinumspeakersnetwork.com or lbpsn.com, and also connect with Les Brown on his website at lesbrown.com and on Facebook at brown.les. I have no more words, so good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And as I always remind you, never, ever give up on your dreams, because the world awaits your light, your authentic gift. God bless you all, and God bless your dreams. Good night, my Platinum family. Good night, everyone.